In today's video, I'm going to explore how to analyze video titles from a YouTube channel, using ChatGPT. I will be using Ali Abdaal's channel as the case study, but remember, this method works for any channel. This tutorial is divided into two parts. The first part involves using ChatGPT, alongside Python, to generate a file with titles from a chosen channel. Don't worry if you're not a coder. All you need is Python installed on your computer to fetch the titles using the YouTube API. For those who already have a titles file for a specific channel, jump straight to the analysis segment in part 2. In the second part, I'll use the titles file we generated earlier, to explore YouTube titles from different angles. This analysis will include both textual discussions and chart-based visuals. Analysis will be done based on title length, keywords, content strategy, audience segments, use of numbers and lists in titles, clickbait, controversial topics, call to actions, and the use of questions in titles. I'm beginning the first part by generating the titles file for a specific YouTube channel. At the moment, I don't know how to retrieve a list of titles from a YouTube channel. So, I'm turning to ChatGPT for instructions. ChatGPT lists the steps involved in this procedure. It recommends using YouTube Data API version 3. The first step is to obtain a Google API key, and ChatGPT breaks down all the sub-steps for accomplishing this. Let me visit the Google Cloud Console to create an API key. The link given by ChatGPT isn't working. So, I'll do a quick Google search, and follow the link from there. On the site, I'm greeted by a pop-up that requires me to confirm my account and click Continue. It also offers the chance to switch my Google account if needed. I'll check the Terms of Service box, and click the Agree and Continue button. Now, let me return to ChatGPT, to find out the next step. The steps include choosing an existing project, or starting a new one. Afterwards, it says to head over to the credentials area of the project, and generate the key. I'll head back to the Google Cloud Console now. I am choosing the Select a Project option. Since there are no existing projects in my account, I'll need to create a new one. I'm naming the project as ChatGPT YouTube Title Extract. Next, I'll click the Create button to finalize the project setup. Next, I am selecting the Select Project option. I'm then taken to the project screen, where my new project is already selected. Now, it's time to check back with ChatGPT for the next step. It instructs me to proceed to the Create Credentials section, and choose the API key option. I'll look for the Credentials section now. It's located under the APIs and Services section. Currently, the API Keys section is empty. I'll click the Create Credentials button. Next, I choose the API Key option. Here's the API key for my project. I'll copy this key, and close the pop-up window. Now I'm heading back to ChatGPT for the next step. It instructs me to activate the YouTube Data API, using the Enable APIs and Services section. Time to go back to the Google Cloud Console. I'm heading to the Enabled APIs and Services section. Next, I click on the Enable APIs and Services button. I'll search for YouTube API. I get 6 results, with the YouTube Data API appearing at the top. I'm selecting the YouTube Data API option. Since it's currently disabled, I'm going to press the Enable button to turn it on. Now, the YouTube Data API is enabled and ready for use. I'll return to ChatGPT for the final step. ChatGPT indicates it's time to make requests, and provides sample Python code to retrieve titles from a specific channel. I'm getting ready to create the titles file now. However, instead of using the provided code, I'm going to ask ChatGPT for customized code, in a separate conversation. My initial prompt will be, give me Python code for the following. Then, I will outline my needs in detail. First, I need to fetch all video titles and their publication date from a specific YouTube channel. Next, these should be organized into an Excel file, formatted with a sequence number, the title, and the publication date. Let's see if ChatGPT can meet this request in one attempt. It's breaking down the procedure step by step. First, it suggests installing specific Python packages. You should have Python on your computer already. If it's not installed, check out the video link in the description for guidance on how to install it. I'm about to install these libraries. First step is to copy the command. Let's open the command prompt. I'll paste the copied command here and hit enter. It will start downloading and installing the packages like this. Now, I'm going to copy this Python code for accessing the YouTube API. It looks like ChatGPT is breaking the code into two parts. One for accessing the YouTube API, and another for creating an Excel file. Let me ask ChatGPT to provide the complete code. Now, it's giving me the complete code in one block. I can easily copy the whole code now. Next, I need to create a file for the copied code. I have got a folder named YouTube Titles. This is where I will be running the Python scripts for this video. Now, I'm going to create a new Python file within this folder. It'll be named as YouTubeTitles.py. I'll open this file in my code editor and paste in the entire code provided by ChatGPT. Let me scroll to the top of the file now. This is where we have to insert the YouTube Data API key we generated earlier, along with the channel ID. I'm now adding the API key. The next step is to locate Ali Abdaal's channel ID. On his channel page, the URL shows only the username, not the channel ID I need. So, I'm going to right-click and choose the View Page Source option in the Chrome browser. The name of this option might vary depending on your browser. Next, I'll search for channel_ID. I'll go through the results using the arrows. Here's the channel ID I need for Ali Abdaal's channel. I'll copy the channel ID and insert it into the code. Now, everything's in place for the code to function. Next, I'll open the command prompt and navigate to the folder containing the code files. I'll type the command py YouTubeTitles.py and press enter. The process will take some time. The message indicates that data has been exported to an Excel file. Now, let's check if the file has been created with all the titles. The file has been saved in the same folder. I'll open it now to review the contents. The data is a bit cramped. Let me adjust the column widths to make it clearer. Inside, the file contains a sequence number, the video title, and its publication date. Interestingly, there are emojis within some of the titles. I'm curious if these are YouTube shorts, so I'm going to check the channel directly. It turns out, these titles with emojis are actually YouTube shorts. For my analysis, I prefer not to include shorts. Now, I need to figure out how to filter them out of the Excel file. I'll go back to ChatGPT and request help on this one. Here is my prompt. I want you to add duration of each video into a new column. Can you update the code? Also, remove videos which are less than 1 minute in duration. Additionally, I have asked for the video durations to be presented in an easily understandable format. ChatGPT is generating an updated code for meeting all my new requirements. I'm told to install the isodate library for Python. I'll copy this command and execute it in the command prompt. It will automatically handle the installation of the library. Next, I'll take the revised script and overwrite the existing content in YouTube titles.py file. After updating the script, I need to re-enter the API key and channel ID. I'm ready to execute the script again to create a new Excel file, this time excluding shorts. Oops, I'm hitting an error. Let me check what's wrong. It appears to be a permission issue, related to file creation. To resolve this, I'll delete the previous file first. Now, let me try running the script again. This time, it executes successfully without any issues. Time to open the new file and check the data. Let's adjust the columns once more to view everything clearly. There are now 4 columns in this Excel file, including one for duration. As you can observe, all the shorts have been excluded. It lists only videos that are at least 1 minute in duration. This file covers information on 583 videos from the channel. Now, I'll check how these titles match up with the channel's actual videos. As you can see, only the titles of longer videos are listed in the file. Now, the titles file is ready for analysis. We will be only using the titles column and publish date column for the analysis. I'll begin by analyzing the length of video titles, since they're crucial in attracting viewers. Let's start with a new ChatGPT conversation. First up, I need to upload the Excel file I generated earlier. In this video, I'll be using the titles file from Ali Abdaal's channel. While the file uploads, let me set up the prompt. I am going to start with average length of titles. Prompt is, calculate the average length of video titles in the second column. Consider all titles. Sometimes, ChatGPT might try to simplify things and not look at all the data to save time. That's why I made sure to specify, consider all titles at the end. ChatGPT has done the calculation. It looks like the average title length is just 47 characters, which seems quite short. It's known that ChatGPT can sometimes get things wrong. I'm going to quickly check the titles file to see if the titles really are this brief. Here's the Excel file. I'll look for a title that's a bit longer. This one looks lengthy. Let's find another for comparison. Here's a longer one. I'll copy this title and check its length using an online word counter. It shows 75 characters, which is still short for what's supposed to be one of the longer titles. I'll pick a few more titles from the top and check their length using a word counter. After selecting 8 titles, they add up to 379 characters in total. This gives an average of 47 characters per title too. So, it looks like ChatGPT's answer was accurate. Next, I'll find out the average title length for the first 50 videos. This will help us understand if there's been a shift in the channel's title strategy recently. That was fast. It shows an average of 41 characters. I'll ask for the calculation again, just to confirm it's been done correctly, possibly using a code interpreter. The result is the same. It seems the channel's recent videos have even shorter titles. Let's check out his channel to see how the titles are displayed. You'll notice most titles are concise, fitting in a single line. Even those extending to 2 lines remain relatively short. Short titles are not only easier to read but also more mobile-friendly. That's likely why short titles are his choice. Plus, with a big following, SEO isn't a big concern for him. Now, I'm going to look at titles from another channel. This time, it's Alex Hormozi's channel. I'm focusing on the latest 50 videos. ChatGPT calculates an average length of 44.5 characters. So, these titles are also quite short. So, what's the best length for a YouTube title? I'm going to ask Perplexity AI, since it's my favorite source for accurate and current data. It says the max is 100 characters, but recommends staying under 60 characters when feasible. The visible limit is 70 characters. This means, both channels we looked at are keeping their titles way below the suggested length. I usually go for longer titles in my videos. Maybe it's time to think about trimming them down. Now, I'm going to look more into video title lengths. Starting fresh, I'm uploading the titles file of Ali Abdaal's channel, in a new conversation. Here's the prompt I'll use. I want you to consider all the video titles in second column. Number 1. Then categorize them based on less than 60 characters, between 60 to 80 characters, and more than 80 characters. Give me the number of titles in each category. Number 2. Give me the full list of titles with more than 80 characters. Let me submit and wait for the analysis. Here's the analysis. First off, titles are grouped by their length. This channel has got more than 450 titles under 60 characters. There are 96 titles ranging from 60 to 80 characters, and just 33 titles exceed 80 characters. Next, it shows all titles that are over 80 characters long. Most of these longer titles belong to much older videos, where he shared about his life as a medical student and doctor. Next, I plan to analyze the first 50 titles, to see if there's been a shift in strategy, compared to the overall approach. I'll use the same prompt, but modify it to focus on the first 50 titles. Let's find out what we get. Interestingly, every one of the 50 titles is under 60 characters. This clearly indicates a strategic shift in the recent videos. Many popular channels seem to opt for concise and clear titles. Now, I'm shifting focus to the word count of these titles. I am asking for an analysis of all titles, to find out the average word count. ChatGPT indicates that this channel's average video title is 8.5 words long. Let's perform the same analysis for the first 50 titles. The result is an average of 7.8 words. This shows that the channel has been simplifying titles even further in its recent videos. Next, I'm going to analyze the use of keywords in titles. I'm starting a new chat by uploading the same Excel file. This time, I am asking ChatGPT to dig into the titles for common keywords and identify the most frequent ones. Let's hold on for the analysis to complete. I'm curious to see the workings behind the scenes in the code interpreter. If you're not into coding, feel free to skip this part and wait for the final output. It lists each keyword, how many titles feature it, and why it might be used. The keyword how emerges as the most common, appearing in 140 titles. Many of the top 10 keywords turns out to be prepositions. I am requesting the analysis be done again, this time excluding prepositions. What happens is, it compiles a list of prepositions, and excludes them from the analysis of the titles. Here are the new results. The standout keywords now include life, medical, Cambridge, and university. This reflects the channel's early focus on sharing experiences as a medical student and doctor. I'm pretty sure the recent video analysis will reveal quite a different set of keywords. Let's proceed with the analysis for the latest 50 titles. Here's the keyword analysis for the latest 50 videos. I appears more often than how in the latest 50 titles. This indicates a shift toward sharing personal experiences. Additionally, words like life, productivity, 2024, and time are popping up more in recent titles. Notably, top keywords from the full list, such as medical, Cambridge, and university have disappeared. ChatGPT wraps this up with a summary, offering insights into the channel's content strategy, based on these keywords. Now, I'm about to try something interesting. Instead of a text-based analysis, I'm asking ChatGPT for a visual representation. Here's my prompt. Consider keywords in all titles versus first 50 titles. Show me how the keyword strategy has changed, using a chart. Let's wait for the response. Here's a line chart, illustrating the keywords and their frequency. Keywords from all titles are in light green, and keywords from the first 50 are in dark green. It's hard to compare, because the dataset for all titles is almost 10 times larger than for the first 50. So, I'm going to request a percentage-based chart, for a clearer comparison. Now, the chart looks perfect, showing the differences clearly between the two sets. As you can see, the keywords, how, and I, are more prominent in recent videos, than in the overall video titles. The chart also makes it obvious that medical, Cambridge, and university are hardly used in recent titles. ChatGPT provides a summary of the chart's findings. Now, I am requesting ChatGPT to explain the data in the chart. Here's the outcome. It starts by identifying keywords that remain common in both datasets, like how, life, I, and my. Then, it points out the changing trends, especially the increased emphasis on productivity. Then, it highlights emerging keywords, like 2024, which are found only in the most recent 50 titles. It also emphasizes the advantage of using percentages for comparisons, instead of raw numbers. The key takeaway is that, even though ChatGPT provided a brief analysis, the possibilities are limitless. For instance, I could request more information on emerging keywords, create different types of charts for better insight, or even specify values to be highlighted in the charts. Unlike traditional tools that have fixed features, ChatGPT offers endless analysis options. The trick is to know precisely what to ask, and how to ask it. Finally, I am requesting a summary of the findings, focusing on the top keywords and their potential impact on SEO, for just the first 50 titles. Here's the result. The frequent use of my and I highlights a strong focus on personal stories and experiences. The word how indicates a consistent emphasis on instructional and how-to content. There's also a noted shift towards topics like life advice and productivity. The analysis also points out that incorporating numbers in titles suggests a trend towards listicles, or structured content, which can boost SEO and keep viewers engaged. This approach allows us to understand the overall keyword strategy in titles for any YouTube channel. I'm a huge fan of his book-related videos, where he talks about the books he's read and what he's learned from them. Surprisingly, book wasn't one of the top keywords. I'm curious about how many times book is mentioned in all titles versus the first 50 titles. Let me ask ChatGPT to find it. After running the analysis, it turns out that book appears 42 times across all titles, and shows up 4 times in the latest 50 titles. Seems like videos focused on books are less frequent than I initially believed. Next, I'm asking for a list of all titles that mention the word book. Here's a list of videos about books. At first look, many are about the lessons he picked up from reading them. Interestingly, the list also includes videos about MacBooks, since we only filtered by the word book. This method allows you to sift through videos using various keywords, from different time frames, and even by combining several keywords. Now, I'm going to explore the placement of a specific keyword in the titles. I am heading back to the keyword list. Productivity shows up 33 times. First, I am asking to consider all titles, and find the videos with the keyword productivity. Then, I'm requesting a chart that shows where productivity is placed within the titles. Let's wait for the results. After a few attempts in the code interpreter, I finally have this beautiful chart. Interestingly, the chart begins with position 0. ChatGPT explains this means the first word. That's a bit confusing for me. Let me ask to start with 1. This should regenerate the chart. Here is the updated chart. The keyword productivity is most commonly found as the fourth word, with 7 instances. Positions 2 and 3 also show a high frequency of occurrences. Let's look at ChatGPT's observations. It suggests the keyword's prominent placement at the start of titles is strategic for capturing viewer interest and enhancing SEO. The analysis notes a decrease in frequency as the position increases. Yet, there's an error in the analysis, claiming the highest frequency is at the start, which contradicts the chart. So, it's crucial to double-check or verify the findings. Next, I'm going to look at the content strategy of this channel. Just like before, I will upload the Excel file in a new chat. This time, I am going to use a slightly longer prompt like this. Examine these YouTube video titles from different time periods. Identify any noticeable patterns or changes in topics, indicating how the content strategy may have adapted to trends over time. Title in second column, and publish date in third column. Waiting for the analysis now. The analysis begins by assessing the content volume and its variation over the years. Next, it outlines changes in the channel's content focus. Keep in mind that analysis is done only using the titles. In 2016, the content was mainly focused on medical education. By 2024, there's a clear transition to self-improvement and productivity subjects. The analysis also considers trends and consistency within content themes. This is just the default analysis. If I do it again, I might see different perspectives of the same results. I can also ask for specific analysis by changing the prompt and asking the exact details I want. I'm now requesting an analysis on any emerging or declining trends in the titles. The analysis highlights new trends between 2020 and 2024, specifically the increased focus on personal development, productivity, entrepreneurship, and business topics. Meanwhile, it outlines a decline in trends between 2016 and 2019, with a decrease in medical education and random topics. Now, I'm going to create a chart to illustrate the change of topics with time. Here is my prompt. Create a chart illustrating the evolution of YouTube video content categories over time, based on the analyzed titles. Use different colors for each category. ChatGPT is giving a line chart and a list of key observations. Let me take a look at the chart. In 2016, during the initial phase, there were only a few videos, mainly centered around medical education topics, represented in a sort of peach color. From 2017, the number of videos began to increase significantly, maintaining a focus on medical content through that year. Afterward, there's a noticeable reduction in medical content over the following years. Additionally, the growing size of the gray color bar in recent years indicates an increase in content related to personal development. We can use these type of charts to uncover many key insights about the titles. Also, these illustrations makes it easier to analyze, compared to the text-based analysis. You can also ask for different type of charts from ChatGPT. Now, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to find interesting stats related to content strategy, and show it in a different type of diagram. This is completely random question. Let's see what I will get here. Let me wait for the analysis. It's presenting another bar chart. This chart illustrates video durations, categorized by the content type. This visualization clearly indicates that videos about specific locations, possibly live streams, and those focused on personal development are generally longer. Now, I'm giving ChatGPT the freedom to uncover any key insights from the titles, and to display these insights in a chart. Let's wait for the response. It's giving me a chart, showing how the volume of content has changed by year. There's a noticeable increase in video production up to 2018, followed by a consistent level of high productivity up to 2024. However, this doesn't directly tie into content strategy. So, I am asking it to only find things related to titles. Let's see what we get. Now, it's showing me a chart that tracks the presence of questions in titles by year. This insight is exactly what I was aiming to explore later in this video. As demonstrated, this method helps uncover and visually represent important insights from the data. So far, I've used simple charts. I can ask for more detailed charts, and ChatGPT can provide them, showing perspectives we may not have thought of. Now, I'm going to check for any mentions of audience segments in the titles. Let me upload the titles file again. Here is my prompt. Analyze these YouTube video titles for evidence of targeting specific audience segments. Categorize the titles by the audience segment. Titles in second column. Make sure to consider all titles properly. Next, I'll introduce examples of different audience segments and ask ChatGPT to pick titles that match these segments. I've defined 3 types of audience segments based on age, skill level, and education. I am also adding examples for each segment. Let's proceed with this prompt and wait for the analysis. The analysis is ready. Let me have a look. It turns out, there aren't any titles that directly mention specific age groups, like teens, young adults, or seniors. However, ChatGPT did manage to find a few titles for different skill levels, including beginners and experts. It also identified some titles that relate to education levels. But, it mentions that 557 titles don't clearly fit into any of these audience segments. I'm going to check the code to see how it works. I'll copy the code and paste it into a new file to make it easier to read. It looks like ChatGPT set up the 3 categories I mentioned, and is searching for the audience segments for my examples. I was expecting ChatGPT to look for other similar segments as well. I'm going to switch the strategy to cover more segments. I'll close this window and start with a new prompt. I'm copying the categories right from the code, like this. Then I am going to ask ChatGPT to include at least 20 segments for each of these categories, and do the analysis again. While I wait for the analysis, I'll expand the output to review the code. Looks like ChatGPT now searches through many more segments in each category. It's found 4 titles aimed at different age groups. For skill levels, it's showing 13 titles. And for education levels, although it mentions numerous titles, it lists just 3. Next, I'll ask for all education level titles to see if it can give a full list. Now, it's showing more titles related to education level. Many of these titles include words like students or study. This time, it's listing 30 titles and mentions there are many more. Now, I'll check the code to spot the changes from the previous attempt. I'm copying this code over to a new file. You'll see that now each category includes 20 values, on top of the segments I initially provided. These additional segments are similar to my examples, and were selected by ChatGPT. If necessary, I can specify a complete list of segments I'm interested in, rather than letting ChatGPT pick them. Next, I'll ask for the same analysis, but limit it to the first 50 titles. Let's see what happens. ChatGPT found just 2 titles related to education level. What's key here is that ChatGPT understands the context. Because I only asked about education level before, it's focusing its analysis just on that. This is usually helpful, because ChatGPT can figure out what we're looking for, without us having to spell it out every time. But, if you're aiming for something different from your last request, you'll need to provide more details and context. Next, I'll analyze video titles that include numbers and list formats. I'll start a new conversation by uploading the title file. I'm asking ChatGPT to examine how numbers and list formats, like top 10, are used in these YouTube titles. Let's wait for the response. ChatGPT outlines a strategy for this task. It will search for numerical values, list formats, or any numerical elements that add structure or appeal to the title. Here are the findings. ChatGPT reviewed 583 titles, and found that 280 contain numerical values. Out of these, 55 titles use the list format I was interested in. It also provides examples of titles from the channel that use the list format. Now, I am asking ChatGPT to list all titles in the list format. It shows all 55 titles, indicating that about 10% of the video titles use the list format. Next, I'll request the list format titles from the most recent 50 videos. Out of the latest 50 videos, 13 are in list format, which amounts to nearly 25%. This suggests that the channel has been increasingly adopting the list format for its recent videos. I want to understand the reasons behind the success of list format videos. I am asking ChatGPT, why should we use numbers and list formats in YouTube video titles? ChatGPT outlines several reasons behind their popularity. Numbers provide a clear expectation of what the viewer can expect from the video. List format titles can pique curiosity and encourage clicks. List titles often include keywords that potential viewers are searching for. A title with a number suggests that the video will deliver a specific amount of value, such as tips, tools, or strategies. This could explain why Ali Abdaal has been increasing his list format video content lately. I'm going to visualize this with a chart. Here's the prompt I'll use. Consider all titles with list format versus the titles with list format in first 50 titles. Give me a line chart analyzing the position of the number within the title. Creating the chart takes a little while. Here's the chart. The chart is a bit confusing. It labels the title index with values like 10, 20, 30. I'm not certain what that's supposed to represent. I was hoping to see the position of numbers within the title, like if it's the first, second, or third word. Furthermore, using the same line to represent all titles, and the most recent 50 titles, makes it difficult to read. I think ChatGPT didn't understand the request correctly. Let me revise the prompt to make it clear. I am going to edit the previous prompt like this. I'm keeping the initial part of the prompt the same. Then, I'm adding, find the position of the number within the title. Next, I provide an example title, and specify that the number is the third word in that title. This clarification should help ChatGPT understand my request more accurately. Finally, I'm asking it to draw a chart that illustrates the position of numbers within the titles, comparing all titles in list format against the first 50 titles in list format. Let's wait for the new chart. Here's the new chart. It looks much better than the previous attempt. I'm going to view it in full screen to see all the details. The first thing I notice is that the x-axis clearly marks the position of the number within the title. Additionally, it differentiates between all list format titles and the first 50 list format titles, using distinct color bars. It's difficult to compare, since the sizes of the two datasets are quite different. Therefore, I'll ask for the data to be shown as percentages, rather than raw numbers. Now, the chart is updated to percentages. It's clear that most titles have the number starting off in the first word. Furthermore, there's an increase in titles starting with a number in the first position in recent videos, compared to the overall video collection. In recent videos, it's uncommon to find numbers used as the second, third, or fourth word in titles. This approach allows us to examine the use of numbers, or list formats in titles. If the output isn't what you anticipated, remember to adjust the prompt, to make it clearer for ChatGPT. Now, I'm going to look into whether the titles use clickbait tactics. Initiating a new chat, I'm uploading the titles file again. My aim is to spot titles with potential clickbait. Here's the prompt. Review these YouTube video titles for signs of clickbait, such as sensational or provocative language. List the titles that may be considered clickbait. Let's wait for the analysis. ChatGPT identifies some titles as potentially clickbait and provides explanations. The first title is deemed mildly clickbait. The second title, My Take on Quitting YouTube, is labeled clickbait because quitting YouTube would be a major decision, and it's unlikely for him. It highlights titles 2 and 4 as most likely being clickbait. Since it's only listed a few titles, I'm requesting it to identify at least 10 titles. Now, I have a list of 10 titles. It seems most are tagged as mildly clickbait. Even those labeled as clickbait don't seem to mislead the viewer. Next, I'll conduct the same analysis for Alex Hormozi's channel. I'm uploading the title file, and using the same prompt. But this time, I'm specifying I want 10 titles. Let's examine these titles. Similar to Ali Abdaal's channel, these titles also appear mildly clickbait. The second one, How to Get Rich and Famous, Full Blueprint, likely ranks highest in terms of clickbait. Now, I'm going to analyze the titles from Mr. Beast's channel. The clickbait level is expected to be higher with this channel. I'll upload the file and apply the same prompt again. Here are 10 titles from Mr. Beast's channel that could be considered clickbait. Let me go through some of these titles. Face your biggest fear to win $800,000. I spent 7 days in solitary confinement. Survive 100 days trapped, win $500,000. I spent 7 days buried alive. Many of these titles seem unbelievable, hinting clickbait. Next, I'll ask ChatGPT to evaluate the level of clickbait across these 3 channels. Here's my prompt. Consider the 3 sets of titles listed from Ali Abdaal, Alex Hormozi, and Mr. Beast. Rate the clickbaitness of each title on a scale of 1 to 100, where 100 is extreme clickbait. Let's wait for the results. Here are the clickbait ratings for 10 videos, from Ali Abdaal's channel. The first title has a rating of 45, while the second one, identified earlier as clickbait, scores a 70. It's important not to focus too much on the specific numbers, as they might be misleading. What matters more is how these ratings compare to each other. Looking at these 10 titles, the ratings are on the lower end on average, with 75 being the highest score. Now, let's look at Alex Hormozi's channel. Compared to Ali Abdaal's channel, the level of clickbait seems to be higher. All ratings are above 60, with 90 being the highest. As anticipated, the How to Get Rich and Famous title scores a 90, marking it as the most clickbaity title. The ratings provided by ChatGPT is pretty impressive. Finally, let's examine the ratings for Mr. Beast's videos. The ratings are incredibly high, with 75 being the lowest. As anticipated, Mr. Beast's video titles are potentially more clickbait than the other 2 channels. The least clickbaity title is I Rescued 100 Abandoned Dogs, which, while challenging, is feasible. On the other hand, titles like Survive 100 Days Trapped, and Win $10,000 Every Day You Survive in a Grocery Store, are less believable, hence the 90 ratings. Overall, this method is an effective way to understand the clickbait level of video titles. Next, I'll check if the titles mention any controversial topics. I'm uploading the titles file once more to start the discussion. Here's my prompt. Analyze these YouTube video titles for elements of controversy, debate, or polarizing content. Identify titles that suggest controversial topics, or debates, and evaluate how they might be designed to engage viewers, through polarization, or provoking thought. We'll wait for the analysis now. It seems like ChatGPT is listing the first 5 videos of the channel. It describes the purpose behind each title. However, it's hard to identify any controversial themes. Now, let's see what the summary reveals. It says, the titles are focused on self-improvement and personal growth-related content, rather than controversial topics. Therefore, it appears, Ali Abdaal's channel avoids discussing controversial or debatable topics in its titles. Now, let's apply the same analysis to Alex Hormozi's channel. The file is now uploaded. I'll simply instruct, do the same analysis, since ChatGPT knows the procedure. It looks like ChatGPT is using the same approach as before, highlighting the first 5 titles. The outcome for this channel appears similar to the previous one. ChatGPT finds no significant evidence of controversial topics in the titles of this channel. Given that both channels showed no signs of controversial topics, I'm feeling a bit skeptical. I'll check if all titles were included in the analysis. It turns out, the output was shortened due to length. This suggests, it might not have considered every title, or displayed all titles linked to controversy. Now, it highlights titles that could hint at controversy, or make bold claims that challenge conventional wisdom. It says, while they are not controversial, many are designed to provoke thought, challenge conventional wisdom, or engage viewers through promises. The process likely applied similarly to Ali Abdaal's channel. Let's redo the analysis, this time requesting consideration of all titles. Now, it presents a different set of titles, moving beyond just the initial 5 from the channel. It says, while some titles venture into more reflective, or personal experiment territories, that might provoke thought or debate, the primary aim appears to be engagement through sharing insights, experiences, and advice, rather than sparking controversy. Next, I'll upload the file, to analyze titles of Mr. Beast's channel. This time, my request is straightforward. Identify any controversial or debatable titles, looking at all titles. Let's see how these titles compare to the earlier analyses of the other 2 channels. The first title, Breaking the Law, seems controversial. Let's take a look at the conclusion. These titles indicate Mr. Beast's approach to engaging viewers with content that ranges from benevolent acts to sensational experiments and stunts. While the primary aim appears to be entertainment and philanthropy, certain titles may provoke discussion about the ethics of content creation and safety. This method can be utilized to detect any controversial topics in titles. Just remember to include all titles in your analysis, to avoid the oversight I initially made. Next, I'll check if the titles use call to actions. A call to action is a statement that encourages the audience to take a particular action. Ali Abdaal has a call to action in his YouTube channel's header image, encouraging viewers to buy his book. Let's see if he includes any call to actions in his video titles. As usual, I am uploading the file again in a new conversation. Now, I am asking to review the video titles for any call to actions, such as, watch now, subscriber, or leave a comment. Let's wait for the analysis to finish. It produces a list of titles. However, these titles don't seem to contain direct call to action. ChatGPT says, these titles directly ask for engagement, or suggest a celebratory moment related to subscriber milestone, which is indirect call to engage. That's not exactly what I was looking for. I'll ask ChatGPT to focus only on direct call to actions. Let's see if adjusting the criteria affects the results. This time, there's no list of titles. Let's see the explanation. ChatGPT clarifies that the earlier titles were flagged due to a misunderstanding, and confirms there are no direct calls to action in the titles. Initially, I provided only 3 examples of calls to action. I'll request to consider a broader range of calls to action, and rerun the analysis. Let me expand the analyzing window, to view the code. ChatGPT has now added more calls to action, for consideration in the analysis. ChatGPT now gives me a revised list of titles. At first glance, these titles also don't seem to have direct calls to action. It says, these titles explicitly encourage viewers to take action, such as subscribing, liking, and sharing. I'll request again for direct calls to action. It confirms that there are no direct calls to action. Let's check if Alex Hormozi includes calls to action in his titles. I'm uploading the titles from his channel to search for any calls to action. After analyzing, it provides me with a list of titles. It turns out these titles also contain indirect calls to action. Let me say, these are not direct calls to action. Similar to Ali Abdaal's channel, it confirms that none of the titles contain direct calls to action. This suggests that both channels focus on delivering valuable content to their viewers, without directly urging them to purchase a product or take a specific action. Finally, I'm going to look for titles that are framed as questions. I'm going to upload the titles file one last time for this video. Here is my prompt. Identify which of these YouTube video titles are framed as questions. Analyze the proportion of question titles, and discuss their potential to engage viewers more effectively. Let's wait for the response. ChatGPT analyzed 583 titles, and found that only 24 are phrased as questions. That's about 4.1% of the total videos. Then it goes on to explain the advantages of framing titles as questions. Now, I'll request the same analysis for the first 50 titles. It turns out only one of them is a question, roughly 2%. This suggests a recent decline in framing titles as questions. Next, I'll ask for a complete list of titles that are phrased as questions. ChatGPT provides all 24 titles, which helps us understand what types of questions are used in titles. That's it for this video. Here's a quick recap. I started by using Python and the YouTube API, with ChatGPT's help, to create a file of video titles for a specific YouTube channel. Then, I used ChatGPT to do various types of analysis on these video titles. The analyses covered title length, keywords, content strategy, audience segments, the use of numbers and lists, controversial topics, clickbait, calls to action, and the use of questions. This video only demonstrates the simple things that can be achieved using ChatGPT as an analyzer. If I were using standard analysis software, I'd be limited to the features and analysis types that the software offers. However, using a large language model like GPT-4 and a code interpreter, we can conduct any type of analysis we want. We just need to know how to frame our questions clearly in plain English. I hope you found this video helpful. I've included the code for generating the titles file in the video description. If you're not comfortable with coding, and struggling with the Python code, or if you're having trouble creating a titles file for a specific channel, please drop a comment below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and like this video to see more AI-related videos.